Hello and welcome to the channel. Gav Axeman Spins with a challenge video set by Christian at front to back vinyl. I'll put some links in the description. Who's took a bit of a break from the vinyl community for various reasons after a good year. He's back relaunching the channel, so if you want to support him, that'd be lovely. This video, this thread, I picked up via Mike PC31, who's also took a bit of a break and has been away for a year. So welcome back to Mike, one of my favourite channels. And then I might as well mention this as another channel's just come back after a year out, which is Beatle Dave's Beatle channel. Not the bus driver from Derby, the other one, which is a fabulous Beatles channel. So if you've got any interest in the Beatles, check out Beatle Dave's Beatle channel. Lovely bloke, and it's great to have him back. One of my favourite channels, and I've learnt loads about Beatles pressings and stuff like that. But brilliant channels, all three. So the thread, you probably guessed from the thumbnail, is a triple challenge of 3 albums by 3 artists across 3 decades. And just because I like to make things even harder for myself, my 3 artists all will have the same initial in terms of how you would file them away. So they'll all start with the same kind of surname as such. And all 3 of them also started in bands. So I think I'm on like a 5 lots of 3s. And then just to make it even more fun, they all begin with the same letter. So this will come out on a Monday. So there's a clue, at 3 o'clock, just to make it all rounded. So there you go. Quick thank you to anyone who is subscribing, liking, leaving comments. Much appreciated. Thank you very much. Always respond to comments. So happy to carry on doing that. If you are new to the channel and have stumbled across it, hello and welcome. And if you like what you see and you don't think I'm talking awful piffle, you know, all support is greatly appreciated. But hey, let's start then. So the first one from a fairly popular band, you've probably heard that they may not, a little bit obscure, came from Liverpool, and a fairly acrimonious breakup. So this chap's solo career started in 1970. And I'm glad to say he's still going strong. He's still with us, and he's still making records, and a new one probably will be arriving at some point even as we speak. So who do you think it would be? The letter M, Paul McCartney. So this is the first a solo album recorded while the Beatles are technically still an entity, but not long after. And in fact, the press release for this album kind of confirmed that they were no more. But if you've never heard this one, it's his first one from 1970. The big track everyone knows is Maybe I'm Amazed, but it's a real kind of DIY home kind of made record, done in up in Scotland in a kind of his own studio with no kind of running water and stuff like that, and a bit in London on some kind of things. Nice gatefold, but a beautiful album. I think in America some people had that cover rather than that, which is a bowl of cherries, but it looks quite space age. But great album. My favourite song's Every Night. I love that song. But you've got a couple of things that almost are on Beatles albums, like Junk and Teddy Boy. The Lovely Linda, that will be something. It's just a great little homemade album. So that's from one of his from the 70s. And then another really important one came at the end of the 80s with this one, Flowers in the Dirt. Not the greatest of albums, but it is a how can I say, a really important one, because he toured this album afterwards, and that really, I think, touring again got his creative juices going, because he'd had obviously a long kind of decade off touring since the demise of Wings. So this is a great little album. My Brave Face, this one with the big singles, but there's a lovely song called Put It There. Just it's a nice album, not the greatest, but it's a really important album in his career. So we've gone 70s, 80s, and then I thought I'd go something a little bit more recent from 2005 even. Chaos and Creation in the Backyard. So again, if you haven't heard this album, it's quite homespun, done with Nigel Godrich of Radiohead fame. So it's a little bit different to the standard Paul McCartney stuff, but there's some cracking songs. Fine Line, Jenny Rain, English Tea. The only song that's a bit clunky is Ride into Vanity Fair, which is why Paul McCartney shouldn't do protest songs. Leave that to John. And yeah, so that was my first of my 3 M's. Who do you think would be second? So Another chap that, you know, bit marmitey, some of these. So there are people out there who really don't like Paul McCartney very much and are sick to death of the Beatles. But there are also people who really don't like this chap, particularly because during COVID and after COVID, he did kind of lose the plot a little bit. Always had a reputation of being slightly grumpy, but you know what? That's kind of why I like him, because as you get older, you do get grumpy. It's a fact. But Van Morrison, so one of his 70s albums. This is a brilliant album, Veed and Fleece. How can you not like a man with that hair and those dogs? But if you've not heard this one, it's brilliant. So Lyndon Arden stole the highlights, one of my favourites. Bulbs. You don't pull no punches, but you don't push the river. Great album. So if you've not heard that one from 1974, brilliant album. One of his more kind of Irishy type albums. And this is one from the 80s. It's a belter of an album. Poetic Champions Compose, I think from 87 was this. Queen of the Slipstream on this is a fabulous song. But Someone Like You, those who've watched the Bridget Jones films or wouldn't know that one. Actually, the new one of those is really good, actually. Did You Get Healed? Spanish Steps. Sometimes I Feel Like a Motherless Child. Fabulous album. So again, if you've not come across that one in your life, go out and find. And old Van the Man was still making great albums in the 90s. This is one of my faves, Enlightenment. It's got the wonderful song In the Days Before Rock and Roll, where Van does the choruses and some guy kind of recites poetry during the middle things and talks about listening to FM radio or AM radio back in the day. Fabulous song, and Real Gone opens it, one of his really great little singles. So love that one. So that's Van the Man from 1990. So who would be the last of the M's? Well, talking of Marmite figures, yeah, I'm going to keep politics out of this one. One of the greatest bands of its era, when they folded, who thought his solo career would live up to anything? Not a lot of people, actually, but the debut solo album was #1 in the UK. Couple of massive singles from it. I'm talking, of course, of Moz and Morrissey. Love him or loathe him. Viva Hate's the debut from 1988. Brilliant album. Word of caution, don't buy this version. This is the reissue that he butchered, took a song off, put a rubbish demo on that didn't sonically fit the album, and then did a bit of naughty editing. Even the cover's not as good either, is it? Don't like that font on that. And the back cover of this has the Manchester skyline, whereas that one gets that. Don't know why they did that, but the original photo of this underneath the skyline was George Formby's grave. Not a lot of people know that, but brilliant album. If you've not heard it, well worth getting. Late Night Maudlin Street's the big epic that closes side one. That's well worth a listen. The two big singles, Sway Dead and Every Day's Like Sunday. The song that got the police talking to him, Margaret on the Guillotine. But the song that he chopped off is The Ordinary Boys, and the song he replaced it with was a demo. I don't know why he did that, one of those strange decisions. But Little Gem in Little Man What Now? And then one song that did start, you could argue, all of the controversy that he finds himself now. Bengali Platforms, which possibly could have been a Smith song, but it ended up on here. So great debut from the 80s. And in the 90s, when his career was starting to do that, he kind of resurrected himself by getting a band together, toured his second album, which isn't the greatest. His third album was a cracker, but the fourth album, and I think this is his career best, is the wonderful Vauxhall and I. This one's a very nice one on the Parlophone label. If you haven't heard this, this is, no matter what Morrissey does, and he does cancel gigs and gets up to say some stupid things, and he always has done, hasn't he, really? But this is a brilliant album. So the opener, Now My Heart Is Full, I think it's one of his best ever songs, and I'll put this album against anything the Smiths did. And the closer, Speedway, they still turn up in his set list today, but it's just a brilliant album, this. So if you've not heard Vauxhall and I, nod to With Nell and I, you're losing out in life. And he then disappeared not long after that album. The follow-ups to that kind of didn't do quite so well. He had a bit of a, I think it's about a 5-year lull, and I think came back in 2004. So actually it's about longer than 5 years, wasn't it? So Maladjusted was 97, so it was probably more like a 7-year lull. But when he did come back, and I went to the Who Put the M in Manchester contest, he came back with You Are the Quarry, and again another kind of career highlights. Will you ever be able to pull something like this off again? I'm not sure. For those that like labels, this one's on the wonderful Attack label, which shows you on the back actually. Quite hard to get these. These were numbered originals. I don't think it still had a reissue because of all the shenanigans that go on in Morrisseyland, but Irish Blood, English Heart, what a comeback single that was. First of the Gang to Die. The songs that I really love, I've Forgiven Jesus, the lyrics that are superb. The World is Full of Crashing Balls, well, let's be honest, it is, isn't it? A fabulous song. But the two big ballads on this, Come Back to Camden and You Know I Couldn't Last, wonderful, wonderful song. So that's my final M. Morrissey, who did put the M in Manchester. So yeah, so thank you to Christian for setting a great thread. Thank you to Mike for kind of bringing it to my attention. And hello again and welcome back to Beetle Dave's Beetle channel. Great channels. I'll put links in the descriptions and go check them out. And if you're watching this on the day it comes out, it came out on a Monday at 3 to kind of make everything tickety-boo. So thanks for watching. Hopefully see you on the next one.